Welcome to the Title Pendering podcast, the Sonic Comic Recap podcast. We have two intros recorded in post. I am Camilla, the Weary Editor, and this soundbite is Vespa, the Weary Commenter, in past. Because as I said, this is the second half of one long recording session. We ended up going way longer than we anticipated, and so this got split into two episodes. So I need to record an intro in here for pacing. Just a quick reminder that Vespa's microphone is taken from a backup Discord recording because we accidentally set up with the webcam mic, and so if it gets a bit internet-y, that's why. One last thing I've noticed, that we do have special stage content for this episode, being a tier list of most, not all, of the characters featured in this arc. If we ended up going with every single character that appeared, a lot of it would just be ing about, like, cameo joke characters, so... But with that, I'm going to throw it on one last time, hopefully back into the past with the Recap Zone. And we're back. We're going to be covering the main series this time. We might still be going a bit breezier, because despite being the main series and not a mini-series, they don't actually reintroduce the main characters. Yeah. They kind of just continue on as if the mini-series was just it. It just sort of cements the fact that the miniseries was basically just the pilot run, and then they just kept going because they got fans. Issue 1 has Sonic going to Casino Night Zone, and it's the second call to action to play the Sega games, get your Genesis out, and get me to Casino Night Zone.
Are we skipping like the first story with the vine plant creatures? I have a pretty.
I mean, do you have anything to add about that?
Yeah, fair. Well, I did at least want to first bring up that the first page on like this is
right.
Yeah,
right. Fair enough. I got more utilitarian with my set of notes because if we're already hour in, we're gonna be here forever if we cover like every little arc. But if you have stuff to add here, then go for it.
Yeah, I just want to first bring up the very first page is Robotnik hanging Sonic from a noose, but of course, like
beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, and of course, like it just turns out to be like a Sonic pinata that Robotnik has.
And the crab meat is like, but you should try the caramel candies. I fucking love crab meat.
Yeah, I imagine if like there's this voice acted crab meat would probably have like that kind of. I forget the actor's name, but I feel like I was just imagining having that voice of like the Igor voice, like that actor, like the yes, master kind of voice.
Yeah, I get that. It's just interesting how, like we covered it before, how the Badniks are basically just characters, but they're also disposable as well. It's just kind of interesting how they have like a weird mixed dichotomy of that.
Yeah, the story for the first story for the issue is basically just like Robotnik has evil robotic weeds that he spreads in around Knothole to cause issues. There's at least a few amusing bits, like Antoine like goes out like to get some flowers and he ends up getting caught in the vine, so they have to try and get him out of it. And the way that they do it, like Rotor brings out a friggin' chainsaw and scares the shit out of poor Antoine. Of course, they do the bait and switch thing. I'm like, I just gotta cut off the table. I didn't mean to do that. And poor Antoine didn't even realize. Then after they cut the vines, Tails, they throw into a bucket, and Tails shows up going, oh wow, someone brought in a bucket of cuttings. Like, what does that mean?
I'm gonna water them. And I'm gonna water them, and it was like, no! And it's like, excuse me for trying to help, and I'm like, these are written like people, even for cartoon standards.
And I don't even know, I know nothing about, plant raising and stuff, but, do people just do that? Just, water for buckets of, cut up plants?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Of course, they're robotic weeds, so they blow up after Tails waters them, and then, like Sonic get excited thinking that they gotta get ready to like just get rid of all the weeds, but like I guess like the page is running out, they just have a storm come by it to deal with it, so they don't have to. And also, they did this in the premium series, but we forgot to bring it up. Like, there's cutout stuff. Like in this issue, they have bumper stickers, and I was just always just wondering, like, do kids actually cut these things out and use them? Like, I feel like if you're using their bumper stickers, they would immediately get
bumper stickers that dissolve because of rain.
Oh yeah, like. Not to mention, like, it's not like they're, like, on the other side of these pages are the comics itself, so you're, like, kind of ruining the comic if you do that.
I mean, it might just be a blank page, so it's just omitted in the scans, or an advert. But yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, at a later point, we get, like, a Robotnik, like, birthday card or whatever. It's fucking weird. The one thing that stood out to me about issue 1 is that there's just an actual ass chili dog recipe at the very tail end, and I'm just like, I really want to try that out sometime. We might have to like append that as bonus content of me trying out the chili dog recipe from the Archie Sonic comics.
Anything else you want to bring out the casino story?
No.
Yeah, it's basically just like what confused me about this is Robotnik built a casino, but like it's populated only by his robots.
And one of the robots is waitress is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that weird like one-off design of this like robot like waitress that looks nothing like any of the other robots we see anywhere else. But also like something else that I saw like in like a later issue they bring up is like money has no values and like it's only Robotnik's like minions that are here, and also I'm just kind of confused as to what the point of having a casino is. Like, I guess this whole thing was just to lure in Sonic and the Freedom Fighters, so he can.
It's just so they could like make reference to the games. Like,
of course,
it's weird stuff. But it's not much.
Yeah. Also, something I thought like a small thing that I thought was kind of neat was throughout some of these early issues, you can actually see splats, the cut Badnik from Sonic 1, and like various Badnik crowd shots. Like there's a few issues, like the miniseries, in the first couple issues. I just thought it was kind of neat that they probably did not know that like splats was not actually in the game. They still included throughout some of these early issues.
I feel like you can tell they watched the hell out of the cartoons, but did not play the games.
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised, or at least like got like some sort of like not pamphlet, but like I'm just trying to think of the right word for it. Like
the manual.
Yeah, like a manual or something to like get the basis, like which is probably what like most comics and cartoons for video games were did in this era.
Yeah. Going into issue 2. We got some interesting stuff, because at this point, with how many gaps there have been between releases, we've hit the point where, in terms of writing, the cartoons aren't out, but in terms of release, the cartoons are both out. So in this issue, we just have Coconut, Scratch, and Grounder introduced as characters. Yeah. And, you know, their dynamics are basically just the same as in the cartoon. Like, yeah. Coconuts just exists on their own and tries to foil Sonic. Meanwhile, Scratch and Grounder just always argue with each other and can't get anything done.
Yeah, like, they don't even bring up any of the other Freedom Fighters in this issue either. Like, it's just Sonic and Tails doing with the S5. I forget, like, what there's, like, I think they say it in, like, this as well, like, Super Special Scientist and Smash Squad, at least what it is in this. Yeah, it felt just kind of refreshing, even if like these are nothing like new characters. Like it just feels refreshing to see these three bozos in the comics, even though like we never really see them again afterwards for the rest of these issues. Because I've always enjoyed these. These have always been my favorite of like Robotnik's like comical like sidekick henchman guys.
The Goon Squad, yeah, definitely.
And it helps, like, even if they're mostly useless 9 times out of 10, they are actively trying to stop Sonic and friends, unlike the Boko and Deco, I think that's like what they're called from X, or nowadays Cubot and Orbot. And they're also
they're just ass kissers and amount to nothing.
Yeah, and also not as obnoxious as Dingo and what's his face from Underground. But if we ever, I assume
I'm not gonna be able to help you. I've not watched Underground. You're on your own.
Yeah,
you're the science guy now. Honestly,
I know. I'm sure we probably won't gain into much of them like in the comics proper because Underground barely has a presence, but they're also kind of obnoxious characters, even if they are more active than some other henchmen. And these guys have always been my favorites, and I just love their dynamics with each other and Sonic. Though it's a shame we do not have them alongside the rest of the Badniks.
Yeah, this is basically just a tie-in for Adventures because we don't see them at all after this point in the 10 issues we've read.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Well, actually, there was like a one-off gag thing, like a one-page.
Oh yeah, there was a one-off gag, but
which
like past that.
Out. Like when I first saw it, like it was like several issues in, like, oh thank God these dumbasses are back. No, it's just a gag page. Damn it!
And no, fuck you. It's time for vertical and horizontal.
I hate these characters. This is like indicative of the fact this is an Archie comic because these do not feel like anything out of. I don't know. I guess maybe see them in Adventure, but like it's very much
to set the stage.
Right.
Sonic basically like falls through like a super magic portal ring and ends up in just weird psychedelic trippy dimension with two reality bending weirdos named Vertical and Horizontal, and it's basically just really confusing and amounts to nothing other than Sonic making a joke about not dropping out of school and doing drugs, and it was like, well, that's a bit of a weird thing to joke about in your kid's story.
Yeah, and they at the end they ask, want to see more of Alan Cowan? By the end, we're like, fuck no, I don't care about these losers. These do not feel like even for like early video game tie-in things. These just feel so lame. Like I don't
out of place.
Yeah, out of place. Like I kind of like I was excited at first because like it seemed like they were like it kind of like leaning on like the special stages like from Sonic, but like it has nothing to do with it. It's just wacky, weird, wacky world situation.
Yeah, pretty much. And then there's just a bunch of like one-off spreads, which really confused me because there's just like a lot of weird running jokes about there being pinups of the Sonic characters in this like comic run. Like they don't ever show anything. There's usually just like some dumb pun. Like in this case, it's like just Sonic and Sally just took each other's respective pinups so they can ogle each other, which is just kind of weird that we just keep getting pinup jokes in this kid's comic.
Yeah, like there's some weird referential humor that like I feel like I don't know would it like it just I sort of just wonder like did kids ever get these jokes back then?
Absolutely not.
Like parents are not gonna read their kids this Sonic comics. Like who is this for?
Like it's just for the writers to have a laugh at themselves. Honestly, like it's what I would do if I was writing.
Fair.
A video game tie-in comic in the 90s. I would just be like, I'm just gonna put some dumb jokes in there. Or like, as we'll get into later, just make jokes about being horny for the rabbit girl. But we'll get there when we get there. And then the last thing I wanted to put of note for issue 2 is the write-in section for Tails' backstory on why he has two tails. Yeah. And then one kid wrote in about how he was an escapee from a freak show, and then they have a drawing cut-in of a witch doctor, and I was like, oh no! I wasn't expecting my Sonic comic to get racist!
I hate to say it, but I'm just used to this from the 90s, because, like,
I mean, I get that. Yeah, it's just like oh.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like, it's something that just kind of annoys me too. Just this era, like, of witch doctors and tribal people. Like, it was just something like all over the place. Like, just, like there was a whole game like for a Dreamcast like called Ooga Booga, which is.
I forgot.
I'm not joking. That. That's an actual.
I know. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's just like the one-off gag of like a witch doctor in a mask, like because for some reason that was a thing a lot of '90s media had. Like, yeah, it's just a lot of like mail-ins. I'm assuming these are actual mail-ins, but they don't. It feels like sometimes, like I said, sometimes just feel like they're probably just like written by the writers like for a gag.
One thing that was funny was that there's one about like Einstein and all that, and it was just really funny that Tails ended up making joke because it's relevant at time of recording, where Tails said, to quote Barbie, "Math is hard."
Of course. Also, another like X-Men, like a jab at like a Marvel with one of the kids writing saying that Tails is Tails is a mutant, and of course they have a gag of like Tails is a superhero wanting to work with the X-Men, and you can see Professor Xavier off panel without showing the head and like an X logo in the background.
Oh, one last thing I wanted to mention before we move on is that there was like one bit in which Sonic was like, "You gotta go back to Knothole Village, Tails," and Tails was like, "Why?" And then there's just 3 checkboxes of 3 different responses for Sonic, and the editor Daryl just tells you to choose his response. And I really wish there was one to just like write in a response, because like that would be so funny if you could just write in like Baba Booey or something stupid. And
I like every so often, like there's some jokes, more so in the miniseries. Like every so often, there's like a dumb like fourth wall joke that kind of cracks me up. Like it's corny, but like that gets an actual laugh out of me. Also, one thing that like it's a minor thing, but just something weird I noticed was Tails' gloves in this issue. Like
I never noticed that. Yeah, that's so weird.
It's like it's weird. It's hard to describe. It's not like the usual like white gloves. Like they're kind of yellow, and they have like a.
It's like gardener's gloves.
Yeah, like it's got like cuffs, like I'm not sure, like a bit of a sleeve, I guess, or something like a wrist sleeve or whatever you want to call it.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's a weird little detail I thought that just stuck out to me. It looked like it's still on like the. Yeah, it's still kind of in the cover for the next issue. We'll be talking about issue 3.
Speaking of issue 3, Bunny Rabbit finally part of the story.
Yeah, I've said fair. Like I've read these comics before. Like I thought Bunny was the neatest of the group, because like she, like being partially roboticized and like bionic. The sense of like stretchy limbs and super strength.
It's kind of weird how they handle her, because like I imagine being roboticized would be a terrible, like, traumatic experience, and like obviously they're not going to deeply cover that in a kids thing, but it's just still wild that she like gets partially roboticized, which was weird because it was like waist below roboticized, like she was like that far into roboticizing machine, but then somehow her arm is just roboticized because that's her design in the cartoon. And then she's just like, so anyway, I'm a fucking cyborg lady, I'm super strong, you could call me Bunny but not Bugs. It's like, okay, you just did a complete 180. It's like, what?
I know at least in the cartoon, like, she angst about, and I think like later on they do kind of retcon like her origin, but like then it's just a coloration thing. Like her eyes, like when she like comes to and meets,
it's just like weird, like her eyes get really weird at that point. I think sometimes she just does not have colorization either in her pupils.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just like at first I was thinking like, is she like kind of partially brainwashed or something, or is it a coloration issue? Yeah, it is just a weird coloration issue. It's just the way that she looks. But also something of note about her that I thought was weird about like her pre-roboticized design is she just looks like a regular ass like cartoon rabbit.
It's really funny. Like this one page of like Sonic getting like caught on like I think he had like a bunch, he had a rope tied around him, and he gets pulled by that, and he looks really fun in the air. But then like fucking like there's like in the smaller like zoomed out is Bunny being thrown into the roboticized machine, and she just looks like a yellow version of the Trix rabbit. She just looks like the Nesquik rabbit being thrown into one chipper. It's really weird, honestly.
Yeah, she does kind of like a weird shrunken down Trix rabbit knockoff. And I just love Sonic's expression when he gets like yanked because he's tied to Rotor because he's too slow and needs to be pulled by Sonic on rollerblades. He just gets
so bug-eyed. It's really funny.
Yeah, also midway through her roboticization, she has the pink I don't know what you call it, a tube top or something.
I didn't notice that, yeah, because she's just completely animal naked before then.
Yeah, that's always weird to me when I was seeing why does she? I think it's just probably another artist thing. They did not it was just a slip up on their part. But it's just weird to me. It just kind of threw me off. Is that a part of her robotization? Is that her clothing? Is that just her belly pattern?
Eggman hates fun, but he does respect modesty. Fucking Protestant Eggman.
I wasn't thinking about Yeah. The first story is nothing to write home about. It's another bait and switch thing.
It's literally just a joke where Eggman's gonna build a bomb and kill them all, and then it's it gets weirdly anti-nuke protest, which good on you, but also weird for a kid's story. And then the whole joke is that it's just a bug bomb because robotics gotta fly infestation. It's really weird. Yes. It's a really weird story. I like the bit where Rotor and Robotnik are just constantly revealing that they're the other person in disguise.
Yeah. Also, just some weird, referential humor of Rotor's giving an impression of James Cagney. Classic joke for the kids.
Yeah.
I have no idea who the hell James Cagney is. So.
No idea either.
Oh yeah, also the Princess Diary. I was looking through the issue and I forgot about there's another joke about Sally. I bet to call her Diana. Sally's hair color
Yeah, when
changed.
Princess Diana went from orange to pink and went from blonde hair to black hair. It was really weird.
Oh yeah, never weird. Speaking of Sally, weird coloration thing on one of the pages for the bunny store, her muzzle and belly pattern. I don't know what you want to call it. It's painted white. It's nothing just but after the first issue or two of the miniseries, there's definitely some like you said coloration mistakes and probably just like you said didn't have enough time to get stuff done, get it done properly. Yeah, also, I thought this was an alright story, if it's at least something more action-y. It lets one of the other freedom fighters, in this case Bunny, help Sonic out take on, in this case, a giant burrow bot.
I think my problem with Bunny is that she kind of leads into the other personality girl archetype, in which it's just, I want to accessorize and do my hair, and it's of course we shouldn't just turn it around and stigmatize hair care and makeup as being sexist, but at the same time, given the display of Princess Sally, just seeing Bunny just talk about how she just wants to do hair and all that, it's just I can see them easily just massively failing the Bechdel test if Sally and Bunny are in a scene together of just them.
Yeah, from what I read, also, I guess it was meant to be a nod to the original concept for Bunny of her being the royal hairdresser for Sally. Because outside of a gag page, later on, it's never brought up again. It's weird, but at least with that bit of nod, I thought it was kind of chuckle worthy, I suppose. Yeah, it also just weird to me because I have read a few of these early issues before because I had the Mega Collection as a kid, and one of the things that they had in it was the Birds special comic, special annual thing, issue 3, which was the Sonic First, which had several early issues of Sonic, including issue 0 of the miniseries, issue 3 of this, well, specifically the story, Don't Cry For Me Mobius, the first story of miniseries 0, Robot Deployment, the story we just read from issue 3, a story from the next issue, and then a story from issue 13, which we'll get into next episode.
Yeah.
That was my first introduction to Archie and the Sonic comics as a whole as a kid. I just kind of forgot about like the details other than like, oh yeah, this was a story that introduced Bunny. Like I forgot about the minutia of it.
Issue 4 is interesting. At this point, I had started noticing that there's little gags on the corner box where it like lists off the pricing, and I liked how that one was like, Eggman Robotnik is like taking claim over the corner box, like first this corner box, then tomorrow the world, and I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, but I love some of these little like gags. The title, I'm not sure what those corner boxes are actually meant to be called, but I thought it was like a cute little detail.
I mean, they call it a corner box in that joke, but yeah. I love the SWAT bots. So I love how doofy they are, how they're just so hapless at the hands of Robotnik being just a tyrant. Like, they're just kind of vibing, despite the fact that how, like, abusive Robotnik is to his own robots.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with SAT-AM, but I always just assume, like, the SWAT bots were just more serious than his other robots, so it's just a surprise to me, like, they're just as jokey as the rest of his minions.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, this first story is one of the other ones from the Mega Collection.
Yeah, it's some interesting stuff. It is one of the many things we talked about, how the Roboticizer apparently has a size resizing function, because they accidentally hit the growth ray function on the lizard they throw into the Roboticizer, which then confused me, because why was Robotnik complaining about the size of the lizard the SWAT bot found if they could just make it bigger? And
yeah, I guess it's because like the buzz bomber he has like to activate it accidentally cranked it up too much or something. I don't know. I was like, it says it's a control knob in it though.
Yeah, an implication is that like, because like, you're supposed to hit the AC, but instead hit the size function or whatever. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But then we get the mighty Universe Salamander, which honestly sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh archetype, because like, we have Salamandrates. So it's like, it's close, but freaking, like, I can see, like, an Xyz monster, like, number, like, 25, Universe Salamander, or something being, like, my ace card, you know? It was some interesting stuff, but then that leads us into another of many firsts for this section, in which it's another play-to-game dipshit moment, as I've described it very unfavorably, is where it's like, to defeat a Universe Salamander, Sonic has to get all the Chaos Emeralds and get 50 rings, except because, to prove my point that they might not have actually played the games, he just already has the Emeralds and 50 rings. It's like, I gotta go into the special stage and collect 50 more rings to turn into Super Sonic.
Yeah, I just love the fact that Sonic just casually has all 7 emeralds. Yeah. Like, I know it's lighthearted and all, but like, trying to be like, he's got them all.
And it's just like, what is he gonna get? Just an extra life? Like, why does he need 50 more rings? And it's like, hey kids, go and play Sonic 2 and go into the special stage. And it's like, it's just really weird.
Yeah, because he can't beat the Universe Salamander normally, so he's gotta go Super to take him on. Which just, in like instant, he actually kills the thing. Like, doesn't even like try to turn it back to normal. I think he like shrinks it down and steps on it, kills the thing. And it did turn evil. Like with the Acorn Crown thing, if they have this emerald and stuff, why don't they ever use it outside of this?
It's because they already forgot about the Acorn Crown. Let's be real here. They already forgot about it.
Yeah, it's just like no other thing. Like, if you guys have this like super powerful thing, like why either not have like some sort of limitation, or why don't they use it more?
Yeah, it's just really weird.
I know, again, it's just like wacky, like not that serious kid comic stuff, but still, like, it's just weird to me that they just casually bring up, oh yeah, Sonic's got all the emeralds and can go Super, but never bring it up again.
So weird.
I'm sure, like,
it's so weird.
They'll tackle the emerald stuff proper later on.
Yeah, and then the other arc here is the one where Tails gets a solo arc, and then Sonic saves the day at the last second, so it's like, eh.
Yeah, it's like Sonic snoozing, so Tails decides to take over and try to help save the day from Robotnik, but he just kind of bumbles into finding him because he's second banana to Sonic. He can't save the day himself. Something that I have not brought up, but just I kept track of as I was reading through this. It's just the awkward, almost outdated sounding dialogue. Because one of the things I made sure to screen grab was Tails being taken to the robot maker, as they call it, and he goes, "Egad!"
That's really good. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Next page, Eric goes, "Yow!"
It's so funny.
Very. I don't know. Maybe it's because it was the '90s, so lingo was different. But I don't know. It's just I have through my notes various weird little dialogue oddities that caught my eye. I was reading through it that just don't sound natural at all to even for this era. I feel just Archie comics, at least overall Archie, the classic stuff, it's just perpetually in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, it's just something interesting about that. It's just some of this dialogue is really weird, and some of the onomatopoeias are really weird too. But I will be here forever. We just point out every weird thing about that. Issue 5, Sonic at the Olympic Games, but in the 90s, we get Sonic's bare feet. Because Eggman slips on energy-draining sneakers to try and prevent Sonic from going fast at the Olympic Games.
Yeah. Something I wanted to bring up, it just feels the way that they set this up just feels weirdly paced. I know it doesn't take too seriously, but just suddenly reveal when they're at the Olympic Games that the SWAT bot switched to shoes. I don't know why they didn't. Just weird placement of things. Nothing I could pick, I'm sure. I know. Also, I just find it funny. Not only did foreshadow the first thing of Sonic going to the Olympic before me and Mario and all that, but
Sonic
also
Labyrinth,
Labyrinth, the original Sonic Labyrinth, I suppose. Unless was there? I think there's an episode of Adventures where Eggman slows down Sonic.
Probably.
Also, never Splat sighting during the Olympic Games I thought was kind of cute. I don't know, I love Splat's design. It's a very cute looking Robotnik. Badnik. I keep on slipping up the name.
Don't worry, everyone knows we're fake fans at this point.
Yeah, I think Tails kind of helped save the day by finding Sonic's shoes. Oh yeah, something I also forgot to mention: the weird redesign for Buzz Bombers in this.
He looks so menacing.
It's weird. Most of them have the classic, kind of cutesy, goofy game design, but the Buzz Bombers have a more edgy,
very 80s evil robot, which is in line with the SWAT bots.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird little detail. Especially since most of the other Badniks are the classic designs.
I thought that was pretty amusing. How they just we gotta make the bee more menacing. Then we get into the arc about the Termite Nader, in which Robotnik gets a rare muscular termite that eats and grows bigger and threatens to destroy Knothole until do you remember what Sonic does to? Does it Sonic just make cement and lodge it in a log of wood or something?
Yeah, it's because it's Sally's pancake batter or something.
Right, girls can't cook. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you.
One thing that amused me about that, other than just tying into the weird obsession with muscular people I've noticed in this comic run, was that it was just funny to me how the size of the Termite Nader was not consistent, because within a 3-panel span, sometimes they get bigger the more they eat. But then they're 20, 25 feet tall at one point, then they jump down to 10 feet tall in another panel, and then they go back way bigger in the next panel, and I was what? And
yeah,
I know it's status quo gets reset, but I just the idea that there's just these termites in this world that will just perpetually keep growing the more they eat, and that is just something that they just threw back at Robotnik and is now just there. It's just kind of hilariously terrifying if you just overthink it and just think like that's just a thing that goes on in the background of the world at this point.
Yeah, just that kind of classic episodic end kind of thing. Like, oh, the character is like in a I'm trying to think of like a word for like a sticky pickle or something. I don't know, like in a pickle, they can't get out of this one. And like the next episode, like, oh, that's fine. Like this is never brought up again. Like it's that kind of like.
I can't wait until we get to issue like 100, in which the Terminator comes back and is like galacticized, like even more buff, and is ready to just demolish Knothole.
Mobius, yeah. Demolish Mobius.
He's just starting to eat
when you did it again, you son of a bitch.
He's just starting to eat into the Earth, revealing the Earth's core, and it's like, oh no, Sonic, you gotta go Supersonic X to save the day.
Yeah, it turns Hypersonic to fight the Terminator Squad.
Oh man, yeah. Sorry for spoiling issue 100, guys.
Issue 6.
No. One last thing for 5 I wanted to point out was that there was one sonogram in which a kid was like, I know you're not going to respond to this, but... So it was just the funniest thing to me, because I was like, oh, I'm glad that thing that happens in Twitch, where people are like, oh, you're not going to respond to me, but hi, kind of things, was going on even back in the 90s. It was really funny to me.
I thought you were going to bring up the male, like, poking fun of, like, Mario and comparing him to Robotnik, because they're both fat and stupid. Oh, yeah. According to Cleek Stevenson, that's a weird ass name.
Don't harass the kid. It's a kid. Oh yeah, I'm gonna harass this kid. His parents are stupid.
I never heard the name Click. Yeah, it's just funny to me. Like,
so to be fair, there was one earlier where the kid's name he wrote in as Acme Kid, which was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, like they say something like we'll tell you such and such, and
he wanted to dress up as Tails for Halloween, and he wanted to know where Tails gets his shoes, and so we'll tell you where Tails gets his sneaks if you tell us where you got that name, Acme Kid. It was really funny, honestly.
So goddamn corny.
It was really good.
Yeah, there's one sonogram that caught my eye. I just realized Mario and Robotnik have two things in common. They're both fat and extremely stupid.
It's really good.
God damn.
Oh, man.
Just a suggestion, my friends and I think another city besides Knothole would be cool, like say maybe a super tropical climate, really, really hot. Give Aluminum Butt an extra kick in the pants for me. I think I'll go play Nintendo. Not!
Man, the Sonic Mario rivalry was insane, honestly.
Oh my god, yeah, you don't know that. That's just so funny. Like, it's one of those things that it's like, no way an actual kid wrote that. Like, that just sounds like...
Yeah, it was insane. But yeah, episode 6, we get our first game tie-in, and it's fucking Sonic Spinball. It felt like a very half-assed tie-in. It was kind of like, it felt like it barely had anything to do with Sonic Spinball, other than he kind of vaguely goes to the location of Sonic Spinball.
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing, other than the weird, Australian kangaroos or whatever he encounters...
Hip and
Hop, yeah.
Who look like guys in kangaroo costumes rather than, anthro characters.
Yeah, but, the weirdest thing for me is, oh man, they get, they're tracking the level Sonic goes through, and there's level 4 final showdown, and then Sonic immediately gets ejected from the island, and that's it. He doesn't even fight Robotnik in the comic.
Play the game.
He doesn't even fight Robotnik that's in its story, but it's final showdown, and then Sonic is yeeted out.
They say it's not going to be my last trip to that volcano. Want to see more Spinball? Right to Sonic Grams. I guess they're expecting maybe people to want to see more of it or something. So one of probably the only entrance so far of Sonic having to save little critters from Robotnik. He doesn't get to in time because some plants knock him out of the volcano. Something I did find kind of amusing was they do keep some of the boss designs, like the first, like the sea monster robot that catches you at the bottom of the first level, and like the weird Eggman scorpion creature.
Yeah, the terrifying, horrifying scorpion creature. And then we get into the Sonic Christmas Carol story, which is the introduction of Snively into the story. Hilariously enough, in the Sonic Christmas story, we're bringing Snively in.
That's like the Jacob Marley of Robotnik.
It was just so weird to me that A, they were doing a Christmas special, and B, that's how they introduce one of the main cast in is doing that.
Yeah, I don't think we see Snively proper until like issue 9 or 10.
But like, it was just
it just kind of drops
really funny, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I also forgot just fucking creepy kid Robotnik is, because they also sort of reference the origin thing from the miniseries of like the fake origin of him being raised by Uncle Chuck alongside Sonic, and it's just like a smaller version of this Robotnik without a mustache. So it is, and also he's doing the same thing he did in the miniseries of like hijacking the tractor and trying to run down Sonic.
Oh man, I just realized a horrible mistake we did.
What?
We completely glossed over the fact that our heroes, Horizontal and Vertical, did come back in issue 4.
Yeah, I groaned when I saw that.
They're like, hey guys, you wrote in about us, you want to learn more about us, and they appeared again, and it's like, yes, my favorite characters! I love you, Horizontal and Vertical!
God, I honestly do. That has to be like some, like again, I cannot believe that kids actually want to see those lame-os.
You gotta put them in your Rings and Running Shoes arc.
God,
you gotta put them in Sonic instead.
Oh my god.
Make them like the main villains. But anyway, Sonic Christmas Carol, one thing I thought was interesting is, at this point, the roboticizer does just straight up turn them into robots. Like, even if this is a what-if story, like, we have finally gotten to the point where the roboticizer actually just straight up turns you into, like, evil robot version of yourself.
Yeah. I guess we kind of saw it, too, with like, the Universe Salamander last issue as well.
Like, this one is, like, with actual Mobians. Is, like, actual, like, full-on shown.
Yeah. It's a Christmas Carol parody, but with Robotnik as Scrooge. And given the portrayal of Robotnik in this, of course, like, he does not, like, learn his lesson. It's just a curmudgeonly Scrooge through and through it.
I did like seeing how disheveled everyone looked like when they were old. There's just the implication that they did eventually de-roboticize Chuck and Mutsky, but not Bunny.
Oh, yeah.
She's still partially roboticized.
Yeah, like it is very much just like your kind of typical like Christmas Carol story, written in like a very like corny comedy kind of way. And it's the 90s. Like, you had to write in, like, you had to do a Christmas special, and you had to like if you want to be like something quick and easy, you just got to do a Christmas Carol parody. It's what pretty much every other cartoon did in this era. And in the 2000s as well.
One last thing to mention of this is one of my favorite things in the Sonic realms, and one thing that filled me with joy every time I got to the end of an issue. Because at this point, the comic is, like, picking up more and more. Like, they have, like, a little segment, it's like, oh, you can, if you color in this panel from the stupid Horizontal and Vertical bit, we'll dub you a freedom fighter in this section. Like, you could tell that it was getting more and more popular to the point where they just could not do that anymore. But, like, at this point, you can also tell they had to put in a little note that said, like, hey, don't put money in the envelopes, because this is not the section for mailing in to get issues. This is just for fan letters. And for some reason, it just filled me with such glee and joy, just amused at having to deal with, like, kids being dumb little kids, that, like, from every issue from here on out until, like, the end of the issues we've read, they would have to keep saying, hey, please stop sending us money. We're not supposed to be receiving money.
Dumbass kid.
And I know they wouldn't have because it's mad illegal and they probably just returned to sender. But I like the idea that they just took like the $1.25 and was like, yeah, whatever. It was just like, hey, please stop sending us money. But also, we're kind of enjoying the payload right now. Like,
Archie isn't paying us enough. They won't say it.
Yeah, Archie's not paying us enough, so don't send us money. And like the word "don't" is like very small compared to "send us money." Issue 7. They gotta find Uncle Chuck's greatest treasure, and then it's just another bait and switch thing. But it's one that I thought was really weird for what it implied, because like at the very end, Sally reminds Sonic of something. And then Robotnik swooses in to steal the treasure, and Sonic's like, nah, I just remember what the treasure is, we don't need that. And because the punchline is that it's just supposed to be Sonic's baby shoes that were just buried, and that's what the treasure was the whole time. And it was really funny to me, because like, I get the joke is that he just is laughing that Sonic is like that a Robotnik is going to be just upset when he finds out the treasure is just baby shoes. But I liked the implication that Sonic just had no sentimentality and was just perfectly fine with Robotnik stealing a childhood memento.
Yeah, that was like I get like it's the bait and switch. Yeah, like come on, Sonic. Wouldn't you want to keep that for when you get Uncle Chuck? Like, do you roboticize or something? Like,
another thing that I really found funny is that for you, Vespa, and anyone who might be skimming at home, in the second page, bottom right, you can see they definitely added in post to change Boomer's name to Rotor, and it is very obvious that they did it in post, and it was definitely meant to accommodate for the retcon they had to do with parody with the comic,
I see it.
because it's in like a smaller font and it's not aligned properly. Like, no, Rotor, it's a map showing where my like. It is so out of place, and it made me laugh my ass off when I noticed it. Like, you could just tell there was, like, some weird meddling going on behind the scenes, some miscommunication, or, like, executives. Then we have the weird bit in which Sally thinks she's a sorceress, and Robotnik falls in love with her and wants to marry her.
Yeah.
And then Sonic helps save the day, and then Sally beats him up because of like watching over her, because she's an independent girl who don't need no man, but also, you know, she's literally a princess.
Yeah. I do like this one bit, like, when it cuts to, like, Robotnik's, like, church that he's gonna marry the sorceress, because, of course, he does not recognize that Sally is dressed up as a witch. At Robotnik Hall, all parts of this building hauled by slaves. Such a dick.
And then we get to the thing we mentioned about how Sally just bitches at Antoine for not wanting a boat to be named after her.
A rowboat, yeah.
It's really weird. It's really dumb. And then some kid from Canada, I just now noticed, wrote in about wanting to see more of Al and Cal. I can't believe the kid really liked Al and Cal. And there's also just a bit where like someone was asking Sonic his age, and Sonic was like, "Oh, I'm never gonna reveal my age," and it's like, weird.
Yeah, given how, like, I am fair. Sega is very, like, wishy-washy on how they want his age to be. Like, sometimes, like, he's 15, like, after Adventure. Nowadays, they got rid of the ages, so, even from the beginning, they're fucking wishy-washy as to how they want to handle it. Issue 8.
Issue 8. I only have a few notes. It's the one where Robotnik puts his robots in a wood chipper and makes a Batman parody out of it. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I liked the bit where they were making a joke about it being, like, televised on, like, Robotnik's own network. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think they said, like, an early issue, it's like Robotnik Belly.
Yeah, because it's on RBV. Yeah. And then afterwards, Sonic defeats the Batman parody One thing I did think was funny is that the crest on the Batman parody just changes several times. Like, if one just says bots are hots, and then one just says your ad here, but then, oh no, Robotnik. Oh wait, before this, because this is literally, it happened because the comic starts with the forced Sonic title card drop, because Crabmeat just had a possession of Sonic comics, meaning the Sonic comic exists in the Sonic comic.
Yeah, it's a kind of wacky, like, lighthearted humor from this area you kind of expect.
Yeah, and then Robotnik's like, no wait, we had more comic books to use as inspiration, and then he sends out Wolverine as a robot, but instead they send out Wolverine, and it's just Steve Urkel as a robot, and they make a joke.
Creepy.
They make a joke about how Sonic's voice is the same as Urkel in the comic.
Yeah, it's a very weird-looking Urkel robot.
It's absolutely horrifying, and you do need to put that in your Raisin Running Shoes campaign.
And then right after that, they bring in
mower,
the Spawn
Holy
mower,
Toddle-Doo, and all that, because
Holy Toddle, well,
Toddle-Doo, because Todd McFarlane.
Because
then like they have like they push him off a cliff, and there's the slow lane, the fast lane, the McFarlane.
Yeah, I didn't notice the Todd D-Lo thing, but yeah, I did notice the McFarlane.
And he sends out more robots that are just comic characters that kids are not gonna get. Like, there's Captain Marvel, there's Mighty Mouse, and then there's like a third one I do not recognize.
I have no idea who that is either, but I do recognize Captain Marbot and Mighty Bot.
Post Camilla here, it's apparently Magnus Robot Fighter, which neither of us have heard of, so, it was just bothering me and I had to look it up while editing. Also, apparently they mentioned in the Sonic Grams for this issue that Sonic Spinball was on the Sega CD, and they called it the Sega CD-ROM, so that's a little funny misprint there. Anyway, back to the past us. Woo! I just love how nobody reading this is gonna, like, people are gonna get Spawn, but what kid is gonna get Mighty Mouse?
I think at least Mighty Mouse, there was like a new-ish Mighty Mouse cartoon around the same time, like the rebooted one, like by Bakshi and Krafowski. That was, but like Marbot and especially Magbot, I have no idea who the hell Magbot is meant to be referencing.
I don't know. I'm not a comic nerd. And then we get into the other arc. Sonic and friends play music, and Robotnik hates that. So then Snively makes a temporary shrink ray, which is weird because they already had a shrink ray. But don't worry about it. And so, despite the story...
Well, the heroes had a shrink ray.
No, because it's supposed to be part of Robotnik's roboticizers. Like, the whole reason the heroes have it is because they took that from the roboticizer that was getting Bunny. So yeah, it's just weird. And so we started about, like, oh, we want to play music, but Eggman hates music. And then it just turns into, like, a weird story about Robotnik shrinking everyone down and just trying to suck them up in a vacuum.
Yeah, I also find it's kind of funny, like, long before Underground, like, first instance of, a lot of the first instances of Sonic being a musician.
Yeah.
I know there was also, like, an episode of Sonic Adventure that it had as well, like, not sure that it aired by that point enough, but...
Yeah, and then...
Speaking of adventures...
Yeah, then we get into issue 9, Pseudo-Sonic. I think they're a great character. I love how much of a gremlin he looks like.
Yeah, it is just a Pseudo-Sonic episode of Adventure. Like, or like a condensed version from, like, Sonic swelling up from some weird poison ivy thing and being out of like commission for the rest of the story, to Tails being the one to stop the Pseudo-Sonic. Yeah. But minus, like, it being a mech controlled by someone, and also... The addition
Sorry, we forgot something in the previous one. We made a dumb joke in the music one about how Bunny needs to play the drums because she's the sax symbol of the team. And I'm just like, oh man, I just did not realize it's all grown men wanting to fuck furry anthro rabbits all the way down. Like with Space Jam, with Lola and all that. It's like, oh... people and middle-aged men in the 90s just really wanted to fuck anthropomorphic rabbits. But yeah, Pseudosonic, powered off of 3,500 AA batteries, which was the funniest thing ever.
And also we get the introduction, probably only appearance of Betty Butterfly, which is
Butterfly!
God, what a hideous looking character.
Absolutely horrifying. They just look like they came out of, like, what is it? They came out of Reboot, honestly.
I guess I could kind of see it, yeah. Like, yeah, it's the weird-ass design. I think that's, like, the only time we see this character. Like, I think the only reason this character exists is to give some exposition. Because she just, like, Sonic just treats her like he knows her, and like there seems to be acquainted with the freedom fighters.
I also like how Robotnik like literally has like a pullout of like Sonic's like information as part of him trying to build Pseudosonic, and for some reason he has listed the height, weight, speed, and favorite food, which is like, why do you need to know that if you're trying to make an evil doppelganger? Why do you need all of that information?
I don't know, like, to make sure that, like, he can, I guess, like, make it, like, blend in or something. I don't know. Also, I did not know this, but, like you had mentioned in the earlier issue, issue 7, they have another thing, like, poking fun of, like, the name, bring up the name change, like, they bring when they destroy the Pseudosonic, they bring it to Boomer/Rotor.
Because it literally just says Boomer Shop, but then they put Rotor on top of it. It's such a dumb joke. Like, you can tell there was just definitely some miscommunication within the two different studios.
And they also have another tease of, like, bringing back Pseudosonic. Like, it probably, like, if it's anything like the previous, it'll probably be just, like, a gag page, and then we'll get, like, the real, like, proper duplicate Sonic, a couple issues from now with Metal Sonic.
Yeah. And then I didn't even bother writing anything about this because it is just Sonic gets bitched at by Sally, the issue. The most remarkable thing about it was that it's called Sonic the Hedgehog and What's the Point?
Me reading through these first couple issues of Archie Sonic.
But the one most remarkable thing about it is that
I was gonna say
the Alone on a Friday Night, God, You're So Pathetic meme comes from this issue.
Yeah.
I remember losing my mind because I did not realize it was from this early.
Yeah, because like to give some context, like Sally gets captured by some evil tree thing that Robotnik has. And then it cuts to Sonic going, "Excuse me, Rear, but we will now pause to use all the bad tree puns and get them over with."
Goes on.
And then, of course, you have the panel with him listing off all the puns.
It's just a nightmare. It's just an absolute nightmare. And then we get buff Sonic, but it's revealed that he was just standing in front of a wood cutout. But then, the favorite part of this for me, once again, the Sonicgrams, in which one kid writes in asking, like, where Mobius is, and like some other questions, and then the person responding to the Sonicgram just says, Mobius is a planet at an unspecified point in space. Like, you could tell they were mandated to have to say that. Like, they were not at liberty to describe anything about Mobius. Like, the Sega execs would just throw him up the gallows.
Even in the 90s, like, since the comic starting out.
So funny. It was just so funny to me.
At this point, I was not really paying much attention to Sonic Rand, but I did at least notice they do tease that Sonic Free is coming soon, so I'm sure we'll be coming soon on the introduction of good old Knucks the Hedgehog.
Knuckles the Hedgehog, my favorite character.
Knucks the enchilada.
Yeah. But it's funny because, like, I cross-referenced this when I was reading it. A lot of these issues come out so late that these, like, things of, like, oh, the cartoon's coming out this fall or whatever, it's, like, already late. Like, it's already out by the time the issue comes out. Like, Sonic 3 already came out by the time this issue came out. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah, because it's in April, this issue, like, looking at the cover, like...
Yeah. It was just really funny to me.
Anything from the Sonic Run before we hit to issue 10?
They mention once again that there's 2 cartoons at 2 different slots with 2 different tones, and they mention once again, please don't send us money. It's so funny. Every time I always look through the sonograms to make sure they tell you to not send them money. It's so funny. It's just every time it just fills me with joy that some dumbass kids. Issue 10, the one I called Goofy Nerbs. Because it's like a weird Smurf parody, but they're all nerds, and they keep calling them nerds, and they're going, no, you mean Nerbs, because that's our names, and it's just really stupid.
Oh, I hate this kind of humor!
Yeah, but we do get the very important information that Sonic is a filthy sewer boy, because he used to play in the sewers as a kid.
I can believe that. Also, we see the Ninja Turtles at one point, like, Sonic... It's blatant them, colors and all.
Yeah.
We're the wrong sewer, dude. Or at least the wrong comic.
So funny.
So funny.
We get a second appearance of Sally's hot air balloon, but this time it's Antoine's hot air balloon, and everyone's calling him an old coot for using it. It's really funny.
And now it's Antoine's time to save the day in this issue.
Because this is the point where Antoine finally has his obnoxious French accent. Is they finally introduced that, and it's so dumb. We have some absolutely nightmarish fan art, which, I mean, I'm literally just saying, like, kids' fan art's bad, but it's like, it is, like, kind of terrifying in a fast... Like, it's adorable, but it looks like something that you would put in, like, Sonic Dreams collection at the same time.
Like the Sonic on the upper left corner from Bradley Haran. It looks like those are like rubber stretch toys flying. One that just looks like it's kind of like two that look like they're just traced over from official art. Teddy Woodall, age 5.5, adorable little squiggly Sonic in the middle. I love it.
And then, I guess there's not much to talk about for this one, unfortunately. But we do get my favorite Sonic-gram of all time, and if you didn't notice this, you will be kicking yourself for not noticing it. From Robin Decker, their #1 admirer of Tails, they sent talking in about how Tails is their idol. They should have a 1,000-issue miniseries, maybe even more than 1,000 issues, and that Robin and their sister came up with a new freedom fighter named Freddie. They're 6 years old, a friend of Tails. They would have only one tail. They would be a bit chubbier and, quote, not as cute as Tails. And they would only appear in a few comics and, quote, would not be a major character in any of them. It's only a suggestion, but I think it might be interesting to try and see how it works. And then the poor person writing in for the responses was like, Robin, are you sure you're not related to Tails? Because he said, like, you can imagine getting this letter and just being like, I don't know how to deal with this. What is this kid so obsessed with Tails trying to solicit their own OC for Tails?
I just love the way to describe it too. Like they're putting down this character and having him be like the bit role.
I love how you can do anything you want with your own fan creation, but they specifically want Freddie the Fox to be a bit role.
Yeah, it's like they want him to be like the Glupshido of Sonic.
I just love they specifically said, but not as cute as Tails.
I was gonna say at first, like, is this like gonna be a self-interest thing? But then they said that, like, fuck.
I felt like I struck gold, and I was just so hoping that you had not read it yourself, because it is absolutely insane.
That is amazing.
Or like the one person from England that gets their things from like an import shop, and their name, I'm sorry, I'm doing the thing I said earlier by laughing at a kid's name, but they're Jamie Badminton from Buckinghamshire, England. Like, you sound like a British person, Jamie.
Again, it's one of those things that just does not feel like a real person. Like, does it feel like them, like, write and think from the first place.
I also love how there's one character that is just one person is just absolutely obsessed with Sonic Spinball. More Spinball, more Spinball, more Spinball! It's just like, oh my goodness, kid, please. It's not that good of a game.
The one Sonic Spinball super fan. Jesus Christ.
I hope all these kids were just super into Tails Adventure for the Game Gear when that came out. I really hope they were into it. And then, one more for the road. Please don't send us money, because it's so funny.
And that's the first
10 issues of the Sonic Archie comic, and to transition into the opinion zone. I want to do a little exercise with you. We're gonna go on count to 3, and when we hit 3, we're gonna give a short 1-sentence blurb about what we thought of the comics up to this point. Okay?
Alright.
1, 2, 3. I really liked it.
I liked it at first, but then I just got bored and tired of just flipping through.
You're supposed to be doing it in unison!
Sorry.
Because I was expecting, it sucked, and I was like, I actually liked it a lot. Because you heard me on my first read-through losing my mind, hating the hell out of this comic, and so I just wanted it to just completely blindside you, just be like, I actually really liked it, I enjoyed it a lot. Because, I think something in my brain just snapped. Because, when I first was reading the first, 4 or 5 issues, I felt like I was going insane, and I was just hating every minute of it. I was so unbelievably bored that I felt like I was gonna die reading this. But then, it might just be a matter of headspace, but, when I got to, the 5th or 6th issue, when I got to Sonic Spinball part, I was like, actually, I'm kind of enjoying this. This is stupid and fun, and I'm having a great time. And they keep making callbacks to previous issues, and it's like, oh man, I remember that one time I read every single Invincible comic ever, and every single tie-in and, other thing by Kirkman that would be referenced nebulously in Invincible, and, I was like, oh man, call back to, the Sonic speed chart where Sonic's going transonic.
Oh yeah, we forgot to bring up transonic.
Well, we just did. But yeah, it was like, oh man, they're calling back to, that granular thing, or they're calling back to, Robotnik's rules of no fun, and it's like, oh man, I'm recognizing all these callbacks because I'm reading everything! I'm enjoying this! And it was just I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever, but, I think I just had, a weird headspace shift in which I was like, actually, this is actually kind of dumb fun, and, it just felt like, what if you had all the characters from the Sat AM, but with the tone of Adventures? And I was like, you know what, this is just pretty dumb fun. At first, I was just driven insane by all the snark and the puns and the one-liners and the references to contemporary media, but now I'm just like, yes, fill me more with it. Let me become swollen Sonic with full to the brim of referential humor.
Well, glad one of us enjoyed reading through this. Seriously, though, I said it before, and I still feel this way. I think the first couple issues of the mini-series and the first few issues of the series proper are kind of fun, but after a point, I was just skipping for not skipping, but quickly reading through it, skipping through the gag panels and ignoring the Sonic Ram because I was just so tired. It felt repetitive.
But then you missed such funny shit, kids repeatedly sending money to them, or Freddie, the chubby one-tailed fox. That's why I kept reading it, because I was like, at some point, something absolutely insane is gonna happen, and I'm gonna be here for it. I'm gonna hit the ground zero of Freddie. The Freddie ground zero. The Fred Zero.
I'm glad that you found that, because I would have tried to just ignore Sonic Ranthem if I read through that issue again, Like by the time I got to that issue, I was just so done. Like this is the kind of banal Saturday morning cartoon crap that I really do not enjoy. And I love Adventures. Like, that's my favorite Sonic cartoon, and I don't mind like it being not like 1-to-1 to the Sonic universe, even if it is like technically the most like that pulls from the games of the time at least. But at the same time, it just, like you said, a lot of the just kind of tropes and such from this era just kind of grind on me. Like it just there wasn't just. If like I think I also brought up in my notes was it felt like gags were repeating. Like I brought up like they bring up like the Sonic is fast jokes so much. Like they sometimes repeat the same one from earlier. Like I know like they do like the joke about like Antoine being full of hot air and propelling the hot air balloon with that. Like a lot of just jokes that like I you see earlier and just see again, like because I'm binge reading these. Like it just makes like the corny jokes feel that much more tiring.
Yeah, I get that.
As well as just how much like after a point like it stops becoming it like just starts filling off either like the pinup stuff or like the gag, the one page gag stuff. Like I just got kind of bored with it like midway through. It was a shame too because I was enjoying those first couple of stories, like the Bunny Rabbit one and like the Universe Salamander thing, because at least felt like something is happening, but like just feels a little too episodic and just corny for me after a point. But
yeah, I think my brain just broke and I got myself inside a headspace where I thought this was just a dumb fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Ah, man.
I'll be curious to see how you feel when things start getting more serious. I guess it's also kind of like I knew, of course, going in that these early issues were going to be very like lighthearted and episodic, but like just knowing what we got ahead of us kind of made me a little impatient. Like, oh, fun stuff. Like, where's Knuckles? Where's the other? Where's the ability? Where's the plot?
yeah. It's gonna be something when we get to there. Yeah, I would say my favorite arc would probably just be like the Terminator one or the Olympics one. The Olympics one was really dumb but really funny. What about you? What would you say is your favorite arc if you had one?
Like I said, like the Universe Salamander, Rabbit, like I can't remember what other early stories. There was a few that I liked. I kind of sort of liked the casino one. I did like the second issue since it felt like an actual story arc thing, like if it is just kind of wrapped up by the end of it. And I did, of course, enjoy the trio from Adventures, their story, because I fucking love those dumbass robots. I'm bummed they're not a reoccurring villain for the comics.
Yeah, it's a shame. I hope, well, maybe we'll get them back. Probably not, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, I think that does it for this episode of Title Pendering. Tune in next time, in which we probably chug another 10 to 15 issues and talk about stupid bullshit. Featuring the namesake of our very podcast, because next time, in the next issue, we will be getting to the introduction of one Kenneth Penderson.
Dun, dun, dun. And also, I believe we'll also be soon seeing one of a major member of the Sonic cast being introduced in the coming issues.
Yeah, Ken Penders. That's what I said.
I was going to make a joke about fucking Freddie Fox.
I gotta just kill off program in Rings and Running Shoes so I can just play Freddie the Fox.
We'll reference Rings and Running Shoes as Amphu Camilla's
Sonic Tabletop.
The system that they're using for their Sonic Tabletop game that they're streaming on their Twitch channel, the Sonic is Dead campaign,
in which we answer the very deep question: what if Sonic was dead?
Shit goes wild.
Yeah, but yeah. Until next time, stay pendering, fellow penderheads.
I forgot the sign off thing like the got a juice.
Juice.
What Sonic says in Adventures, they got a juice.
Madhouse.